Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Allison Zapata. I want to welcome you to our August edition of the Not White Collective video podcast. In dialogue, candid conversations with not white artists and arts administrators from Pittsburgh and beyond. So, today we have a very exciting guest. He is Natiq Jalil. Yeah, Natiq is a visual artist who specializes in watercolor, acrylics, and mixed media. His favorite subject matter is human form, coupled with symbolism in the form of stylized organic designs, technology, poetry, and physics equations. He takes on one-sided long-standing narratives and current events, even lays out his plans for the future in the form of Afrofuturism. His work is prized by many businesses, institutions, and private collectors all over the world. He's the founder of the Colored Section Black Artists Collective and is currently focused on group exhibitions with them, as well as solo work tackling themes such as honoring ancestors, changing social norms, and environmental activism. Natiq, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're very honored to have you here. We're very, very excited, and you've been in Pittsburgh for a long time. Well,
hmm
mm, relatively a long time, and
Yeah.
I personally have been a huge admirer of your work, and I know everyone in the collective is a huge fan of your work and the
Oh,
work that you
thank you.
do. So we are just thrilled and honored to have you be a part of this interview.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Oh, of course, yeah. So how about we just jump in?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. So, Natik, how do you identify?
As far as like my pronouns,
Yeah.
I guess that's a part of it.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we'll start there. He, him, his, John. Uh, that's a Philly thing, and but pretty much black. I call it, black and it's African American, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I feel like any of those words are fine so long as it's said with power, said with love. I'm good with those. Yeah, is when people call me something else that we have an issue.
Right. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, who are your people, and where are you from?
So that is a long, long, long story that I don't even have all the answers to. Like a lot of us that are like me. But I know that I was born in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama. And my family that was there before me, they lived in New York. They lived in various different places down south. Um, my one of my grandfathers was from the Dominican Republic, um, and one of my one of my great great somethings was from somewhere in Africa that spoke French. That's all I know.
Wow.
We have no idea. We've been trying to track down where he was from, but he's the first documented person on my dad's side. Um, and so then we get to me. I was born in Alabama, stayed there until I was like 10, 11, 12, something. And then I moved to the Midwest. And then I started following my art career. That brought me to Pittsburgh, to New York City, to LA, and just everywhere that, wherever my art takes me. And I've been living here in Pittsburgh for probably 8, 9 years now. I don't know. It's been a while now.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is you put
You're
your
home now? Yeah.
yeah, down
Yeah,
there?
this is home now. Um, and I don't know at what point it started to feel like that, but it does. And so we'll just go with that feeling.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of different places that you've lived, and Pittsburgh has just captivated you for the past 8 years, and
hmm
we're happy. We're happy that you're here. That's for
Oh,
sure.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Has how has the intersection of race and gender impacted your career?
you could say to a certain degree it almost has been my career. Um, Back when I first started trying to do my art as a career was in Denver, Colorado. And when I would go around and try to shop my portfolio, almost all of the galleries that I went to were white owned galleries, and they would tell me one of two things: either my art was too urban, which that's a loaded term,
Yeah.
and then they would just come right on and say, we don't think it's black enough.
Wow.
Like, where's the pain?
Uh-huh.
You
Oh
know.
my gosh, yeah.
And
Yeah. Wow.
so it was interesting having other people who were not black try to quantify whether or not my artwork was black enough or too black to be in their galleries. And so
Yeah.
I tried again once I was here in Pittsburgh. And it was interesting once I got here because it was more about my style than it was about the subject matter. And so long as I kind of left my work universal, if you will, and didn't have too many features, and it wasn't because I have that style with as you can see, like in the background, it can be really stylized, even though they're people. Um, so long as the features weren't too ethnic, everybody would buy it. But the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I started doing my work that was like, yeah, these are definitely black folks, you know, it became interesting. A lot of people were a bit more hesitant to just buy it. Some people they like the way it looked, they still like the style, but they would be like asking permission, like, "Am I allowed to buy that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can definitely give me your money." You
Right.
know,
Right.
um, and it's been weird because starting out, because of the way that people acted weird when I would do work that was clearly of black people. Um, they they would ask questions that they would never ask someone else, like, "Why is it that you paint black people?" Like, "Why did Michelangelo paint white people?"
Right.
You
Right.
know, like, "Why did Picasso paint white people?" It's like I was asked questions. Nobody ever asked anybody that. Like when it's and
Right.
I think that it was just like one of those weird things. And so out from there, they would make their decision as to whether or not they would buy something, or feature me in their gallery or their show or whatever. And it was cool just as long as it was just pretty. But the
Right.
moment you could see the features, it became an issue. And they would start asking weird questions. And so I decided from there that I can no longer just do pretty pictures.
Yes.
This is how it's going to be whenever you could see that the people look like me. I was just going to make it look like me, just in general. There was no
Mm-hmm.
going back from that point. I wanted my work to mean something, to be more than just a pretty picture. And so I
Mm-hmm.
started telling our story. I started trying to tell our story in a way that only an artist can. And so I haven't looked back since.
Wow. 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 Was this back in Denver when you had that realization, or?
No, this was actually here in Pittsburgh. I had my first successful show, which was Unfinished Business, where I intentionally didn't finish a single piece. And and so it'll be incomplete faces. I wouldn't color them all in, and it was using all kinds of wild colors. And so people felt comfortable buying them because, even if it kind of looked like a black person, they could kind of convince themselves, like, well, he used orange and purple. So, that's like the blue people that they're always talking about, and
Yeah.
and so it was safe for the general public to buy the work.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment it started looking like that, like my background, it was just like, oh no, he looks, I've got a fear for my life. you know
Yeah.
it got real uncomfortable for him when it started to look like us. And
Wow.
so The interesting thing about it, though, is that now that I've just chosen what I'm gonna do, like I'm painting Black people. I'm telling my own story. I'm telling the story of my people. I'm telling the story of marginalized people. I'm telling the story of intersections. Now, after years of doing this, and after starting the colored section and putting it out there, this is just what my art is going to be now. Now people are starting to get comfortable once again
Mm.
buying my art the way that it is.
Mm.
It's been the weirdest journey, and so to a certain degree, the race has been my career because depending on where I was standing with it and the colors that I used in my work
Mm.
that determined the trajectory of my career the entire time.
Wow, and that is a realization that you've had to stick with your deepest soul, like that. In you know, when they talk about like the artist journey and not quote unquote selling out, or like you really allowed your heart and soul in your experience to be the the driver, which
Mm-hmm.
which is a hugely vulnerable position. Like you're put to put that all out there. That
Mm-hmm.
that is a that's a beautiful thing, you know. And
Yes, yes, I think so.
yeah,
I think so because I've already, I feel like I no longer have to prove myself to people. Like everybody knows that I can paint anybody, and when I was starting out, that's what I wanted people to know is that I could paint anybody, I could paint anything. And so now people know I can paint anybody, and I choose to paint Black people, to paint marginalized people. That became a choice, and so I wanted it to know that I don't paint what I have to, I paint what I want to.
that's empowering. That's the
Mm-hmm.
power that you had to build up over your lifetime to
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
create that voice like that so strong.
Exactly.
That's really I'm gonna ask you about your how has your unique lived experience enhanced your work?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that you'll often see in my work is the power symbol, right? And I write a lot of physics equations and stuff in my work. They're often hidden in there, and I put a lot of technology, in my work. It often features like smartphone screens, and like I'll sometimes put text messages coming down the side of my work and all kinds of different things. And it's because I'm from that last generation that saw all of it. We started out playing in the yard, getting, dirt all over ourselves. Then it transitioned into pagers. And then, it went into the first smartphones, the first cell phones, and then smartphones, computers, all of that stuff. And now we're in this age. And so the last time there was like the great masters, when the great masters were doing their work, it was during times of change. And their work featured the technology of their day.
Right.
And so I'm like, we got stuck somewhere. We felt like, we had to imitate the great masters. And so artists, to me, has been stuck for centuries, with their technology, with their symbolism, with their mythology, if you will.
Right.
And so I wanted to do the technology and the mythology of today and into the future. And to a certain degree, I'm taking my cues from them, but actually using the technology of our day. And so my lived experiences range from, all of the different things that I mentioned before. And so all of that stuff ends up in my work. It ends up in the backgrounds, it ends up in the main subject matter, and it ends up even in the words that I scribble onto the pieces. And so my lived experiences cannot be divorced from the work.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like we're like the end, like that analog to total digital, like
Hmm.
that's not going to happen again in time. Like we are
Right.
smack right on that line, which is like crazy, you know, like of
Hmm.
all the time that's ever going to exist, like we are right here, right now.
Right, right. Yeah,
That's
I'm probably the last generation that knows how to use the old phones where you had to, actually, turn the little dial. I remember those. Like that was from the previous generation, but I remember seeing them.
definitely, definitely, yeah. And there's so much, like there's so much content of like that duality that you're truly one of the last generations to have that one leg here and one leg there, and to like put that
Hmm.
into art. That's a strong experience
Hmm.
way around.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's really cool. That's cool to hear you
Thank
say
you.
that. That's so what topic is most important to you now?
Ooh, so most important. Um, I feel like one of the most important focuses in my work right now is the fact that um, I want to make paths and let people know that Black people and in general people of color are not going anywhere. We are going to be here. We have been here. We are going to be here.
Hmm.
Those of us who are descendants of people who have been indigenous to places all over this planet are still going to be here. So being that my work is Afrofuturism, I feel like I'm telling a very specific story that in the near future, in the distant future, guess who you're gonna see? People that look just like me. They're gonna see people that look just like you. It's not gonna be this situation where it's just white people and aliens.
Right, right.
It's not gonna be like that. You know, it's not gonna be white people and Yoda. You're gonna see us. You know, and when we are in Starfleets and stuff like that in the distant future, we are not gonna be the diversity hires. It's not going to be like that. I'm trying to tell the story that we are still going to be here in the future. And it looks like my camera has frozen. Can you guys still see me?
I can see you. It's just I can hear you. The camera's just frozen.
Right. Sorry about that.
Okay, I see it says same here. Okay. Well, we'll just continue and
Hmm.
and keep the boat sailing here.
Yes.
Um,
I'll put on my logo.
yeah, yeah, and maybe that'll come back.
There we go.
Give it a shot. All right.
How's that?
So what does in so turn it off. Maybe try turning it off and then turning it back on the camera.
Oh, it's saying that it cannot restart the camera. So it is malfunctioning over here. So I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Okay. Well, it's all good. We have you here. We're going to use our time with you, which is precious, and we're going to keep your genius mind sharing your information with us, because I personally have had the pleasure and the honor to work with you, and I mean there was hours and hours and hours that we painted side by side, and I
Yes.
loved it. I loved talking to you. I love hearing you talk, and
Thank you.
really,
Likewise.
yeah, like you have an old soul, and
Mhm.
to hear you, to see your work is one thing, but to hear you share your experience is a treasure.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
Oh,
a true
thank you.
treasure. So I am truly excited, and I'm happy that other people get to hear you. I think it's
Oh,
very,
thank you. Thank you.
very cool. We need more of this, actually. Um, so give me 2 seconds. Da, 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 da. All right, let's talk about leadership.
Hmm.
You started the colored section here in Pittsburgh, which is an arts collective,
Yes.
and a very powerful one. And I believe it's newer, like within the
Yes.
past year.
A little over a year old.
Okay. So with that leadership, what does inclusive leadership and gender equality look like um, through your eyes?
So when we were first dreaming of what the colored section would be, um, we talked about the different things that we wanted to tackle. And I made some promises then. And one of the promises I made was that there would never be an idea that was too far-fetched. That being said, there's like every single intersection that you can think of in the colored section. When you open yourself up to that, and someone says, I want to do a story about this or exploring this side of myself, and you're like, we're going to do that. And you want to live by your promises. It creates some very interesting and unique opportunities for art to happen. And so um, I could not make that promise if I could not also make the promise that everybody's intersections are going to be respected and honored and upheld, and that anyone who stepped outside of that would no longer be a member. And so we we want to tackle every single aspect of our lived experiences. And I want to model, I'm hoping that I can model what it's like to be a person who doesn't have to go through something in order to relate to it. You know, I don't have to experience homelessness to have the colored section do something that tackles homelessness. You know, I don't have to um be I don't have to be anything other than who I am as a person who can experience empathy and sympathy and just be a human being to tackle any subject matter that my members want to tackle, because this is their lived experiences. I have mine, they have theirs, and I feel like they are all valid and they are all beautiful.
Mm.
And so one of the things that I really love to do is when when one of my members first tells me about an idea that they have, I like to look them right in the eye, and I like to listen to their ideas and respond in the affirmative right from the jump, because I want them to get excited. And I want them to start talking fast to the point where their words are stumbling over each other.
Right.
Because that type of excitement, that tells me what they really want to have in their exhibits.
Yeah.
And through that excitement, it gets me excited and it gets the other members excited. And so I'm hoping that I can be a model for the type of leadership that acknowledges their members' whole selves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people are like, well, we feel conflicted about covering this issue because this might alienate such and such. You know, but as human beings, how are we really alienating people unless we consciously do so? You know, um, and I'm gonna to not miss words. I'm not going to cater to bigots.
Mm.
And so most of the time when people have issues with something, it comes from the point of, this is going to make a bigot somewhere feel uncomfortable,
Yes.
whether it's someone who experiences homophobia, transphobia, anti-black racism and stuff like that. People that have their various different forms of xenophobia, we don't cater to those people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so if one of our members who wants to do a show about toxic masculinity, or tackling what it's like um, to be trans in the United States of America, if that's what my members want to do, I'm gonna jump right behind them. Let's do that.
Yes.
Who do you want to work with? What can I do to make sure that this show is successful? That's
Mm.
what I want to do. That's, to me, that's the type of leader that I want to be.
I think a lot of times, just even thinking in my own experiences, having something when we talked about being vulnerable, and if you have a topic that you feel that you put out there and it does make you feel vulnerable, you're like, how is this going to be received? And it can be intimidating at first, but
Right.
to have like somebody that is mentoring you or kind of showing you the way because they have that experience, to have that positive reaffirmation, it can be life changing for people. You
Right.
know, it literally can be a gateway to their own expression, and
Right.
have that kind of support. You know, that type of inclusive leadership as you're describing, I think is extremely profound.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want them to feel empowered. I want them to be able to do art with their whole self.
Mm,
I want their next piece to be the best piece they ever did. You know, I want them to look at the piece they just did and just feel completely good about it. I want them to look at their pieces and completely see themselves. I don't want them to feel like I just did this piece and it's pretty, but I still feel a little bit empty. I feel a little hollow.
yeah.
I want them to be able to put every single part of themselves into it and feel good about it.
I
You
like how you
know.
said make the art with your whole self, like
Hmm.
you're, you know, not partial, not segmented, but the whole self to put through
Hmm.
art. I mean, that can move mountains when it comes to um, expression in art, and people who see that can see themselves in that too. You know, you never
Yeah.
know who you're going to reach.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And part of the reason it is like that is because I had to battle growing up with trying to put my whole self into my art. My parents weren't always supportive of me doing an art career. My dad wanted me to go into the military, you know, and my mom, she just wanted me to do anything that was guaranteed to give me a steady income, and none of them thought that art would take me anywhere,
Yeah.
and it's literally taking me all over the country and it's
Mm,
literally being sold all over the world. And so I want others to experience that freedom, that feeling of accomplishment that you can be yourself and being yourself can take you everywhere.
yeah. Yeah. And it's. I think a lot of times parents they just don't see the vision. You know,
Hmm.
and that can it can hurt a lot of people
Yeah.
who want it. A lot
And
of
I mean, yeah,
kids.
and I get it. They're trying to protect you in their own way.
Mm,
But there's, sometimes, and this is me being a parent who has raised a child now. Sometimes the best way to I found that one of the best ways to raise your child is to, you know, give them the tools that they need so that they can be themselves and be successful at that. It's not trying to give them a path that you feel is safe. It's walking that path with them and making sure that you clear out enough of the obstacles so that they don't completely hurt themselves along the way
yeah.
until they can walk it on their own.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that can make all the difference. I mean,
Yeah.
it really can. It's that's excellent leadership, really.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so quick. Let's. I'm going to move on to a different topic. How about when it comes to art and putting your art out there, and people who want to acquire your work? Um, Let me ask you about boundaries. Do you have what is your how does your how can I explain this? Like what is your sensibilities as far as boundaries with what you will do, what you won't do? Who, who do you have people that you don't want to have your work, or um,
Yes.
what's your
This is
boundary?
gonna make y'all laugh a little bit. My wife, she still laughs whenever she hears this, but I will refuse to sell art to a person if I know they're going to try to put it in their bathroom. I don't do bathroom art.
uh,
That is a no. I do not want my art in bathrooms. It's just I don't know what it is about it, but
right.
if you say that you're gonna do, you can already have handed me your money. You're like, this is gonna look great in my bathroom. I will hand you your money right back. and take my art back. It is not going into the bathroom. No, you are not flushing in front of my art.
There's the line. That is the
There's a
line.
line. There's a line. Don't cross that one.
So
You know,
everybody
if
out
that's your plan, keep it to yourself.
there, keep it in here. So everybody out there that is interested in Natiq's artwork, do not put it
Put it
in
in
the
the
bathroom.
bathroom.
For
Mm-mm.
God's sake, never.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, you can put it outside of it, but don't put it in there.
right. That's good. It is good. That is a good boundary. Heck
Yes.
no. Ooh, definitely. Okay, moving on. What is your form of self care?
So, my self care routine is quite extensive now. Um, it is. It takes me a while just to do like wash my face and all of that stuff. Like
Okay.
a lot of dudes don't do it. A lot of masculine people feel like they can neglect certain types of self care because they try to discount it as something other than masculine. But I think that it feels great to have clean pores, to
Mm,
have glowing skin,
mhm.
to have you know um, shiny beard hair. You
Yes.
know, I think that I think that it feels good, and I think that it feels good to smell good. And so I choose my colognes very carefully. You know, I even chose the brush that I brush my beard with very carefully. You know, to
Yes.
me, whenever I am going to do work, um, sorry about that. Whenever I'm going to do work, um, n- hold on, I don't know why people are trying to call me in the middle of an interview. I'm putting this on silent. I apologize, y'all. Um, and so, um, self care for me is also in the form too of I do ancestor veneration. And my old mentor, George Gist, I have in my studio, I have an altar, an ancestor altar that I put up of his work. And these days, before I start to paint, I have a drink with my mentor and allow him, to guide me in
Mm,
the beautiful work that he does. And I feel like he's still teaching me. To me, that's a form of self-care. Self-care.
yeah.
And it's in good food and good company and all of that. That's to me, all of those things are self-care, and all of those things will inform the type of work that you do. If
Yes.
I want people to feel good about my work, then I need to feel good about me as I'm doing it.
Yes.
And so I found that that's liberated my work a lot. I feel a
Mm-hmm.
lot more free. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like my work is cleaner, and it's more passionate, and it's just more when I
Mm-hmm.
go into the studio feeling good.
It's like
And
a
then
real
in that
transfer.
way, yeah. And then in that way, the art itself becomes an extension of the self-care.
Yes. Yes. I think that you've hit on a lot of points. I mean, I think with um, the rituals that you have and how you can channel the energy from your ancestors and the people who taught you painting, and just keeping that in your mindset um,
Mm-hmm.
while you're working on it. It's you're putting yourself in that space, and in the work that you produce, really, it does have that look, that clean, fresh, care. Like you can see that in the artwork that you create. Like it is truly um, beautiful. And I'm really inspired and happy to hear of your routine before you start painting. I think that's really good for
Yeah.
us to do.
Next time you come by the studio, then I'll definitely have to show you.
Okay. Yes. I love it. Love it. Um, what is accessibility to you, and how do you implement that in your workplace?
Huh. So accessibility, I feel like it's not super hard. I feel like people make it a lot harder than it has to be.
Hmm.
Um, all I feel like all it takes is to view the people that are sitting in front of you or standing in front of you or whatever. The people that are in front of you, view them as a human being. View them as just as human as you are. And accessibility
Hmm.
almost naturally happens.
Yes.
Because the moment that you feel that other people are as important as you are, you don't take them lightly. You don't just dismiss them, and their needs become important in whatever form that takes.
Hmm.
You start to think about their comfort. You start to think about what's important to them, what moves them, what makes things a little bit easier for them. And the funny thing about it is that when you do that for them, I've always found that it translates to just a better overall experience, even for yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like people make it way harder than it needs to be. Like you don't always need a committee meeting in order to discuss what you're going to do as far as making this accessible or making that accessible.
Yeah.
Is like, is that a human being? What do
Right.
they need in order to be here with us?
Right.
All right, let's do that.
Right.
It's usually it can be that simple.
Yeah. Real.
It's like I like that that is a human being, and I want them to be in my presence, and I want to be in their presence, and so this is what I'll do. This is what we can do.
Yeah.
To me, it's that's just that simple.
How nice would it be if everybody just had a bit of that as we move throughout the world? Just a
Right,
gentler approach, which is free. It's free.
right,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly.
Gentler approach towards each other.
Right, like
Um,
everything doesn't need a whole discussion in a PowerPoint, and I don't want to bring an Excel into, I don't need spreadsheets to quantify a person as a human being who deserves, the same things that I have.
absolutely. Absolutely. We are starting to wind down our interview here. I'm going to ask you one more question, and then
Hmm.
we're going to get ready to say our goodbyes and get ready for the next person.
Hmm.
Um, so we have a big question that we're all curious about with you. Tell
Yes.
us about your latest projects. What is coming down the pipe for you?
Oh man. So the future is looking amazing. The future is looking really, really amazing. And so I can't tell everybody everything right now, but I'll give y'all a little glimpse of what I can.
Okay.
So one of the upcoming shows is called Inner City Blues. And that one is tackling what I like to call classic blackness, timeless blackness. It's those things that um, when we think about them or we see them, it gives us a nostalgic feeling. It's the smell of soul food. It's the sound of a basketball on a basketball court. It's it's hip hop music. It's jazz. It's all of these different things that for us, when we see them, it just gives us that nostalgic good feeling. And so I am actually challenging myself with this one to not just do faces and stuff. I'm actually stepping outside of my box a lot and doing a whole different type of body of work than what I usually do. And
Wow.
so I'm really excited about that one.
That's awesome.
The colored section is actually doing a show called Black Body Consciousness.
Okay.
That is kind of it kind of goes along with it, but it's different. It's about what it's like to live in black skin on a daily basis.
Mm.
Because when we first wake up in the morning and we're brushing our teeth and we're eating our breakfast and all of that stuff, and we're choosing what clothes we're going to wear, we're not thinking about the fact that we're black.
Mm.
You know, we're
Mhm.
not black as we're looking in the refrigerator and figuring out what we're going to eat. It's when we leave our apartments and we get onto the elevator and then there's somebody clutching their purse in the corner. It's when we're walking out to our car and then we, out of the corner of our eye, we see someone remember to lock their door just
Mm.
because we're walking past.
Mhm.
You know, it's those things that remind us that, we are a black human being, you know. And so this is dealing with what it's like living in our skin on a daily basis. And
Wow.
that and it's not just going to deal with the moment that we realize that we're black. It's also about those moments before, when we're doing our hair, when we're brushing our teeth, and all of that stuff. It's about the things we love about it, the things that are painful about it. It's about the whole experience, and that one is excited because we're going to be doing barbershop and beauty shop artist talks. We're going to be setting up a barbershop and a beauty salon in the exhibit to do our artist talks from, because hair and stuff is a huge part of our who we are, and the world is still trying to police our hair.
Wow. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, so that's just a couple of things that are coming up in the near future that we're doing.
Wow. That is fantastic. That is very cool. And where will that be? Here in Pittsburgh?
Yes, it's going to be here in Pittsburgh. The Black Body Consciousness show will be at a TT gallery in Sharpsburg,
Mhm.
and the Inner City Blues show will be at the Oringer in Braddock.
Okay. Okay. And the Inner City Blues show will include different artists, or is that one just you again?
It's going to headline myself and Q Perry, but it will also have various different artists from around the city.
That's so cool. Very exciting, very inspirational, so insightful, and
Thank you.
just it's a real, like I said before, you're a treasure in this city. It's a real honor to hear all the things that make up the whole of Natiq. Just the tip of the iceberg here, but just to hear the how this all, the what makes you tick, and it is just it's a beautiful thing. And both you and Crystal here in the city, we I think it's a real, like I said, your Pittsburgh treasure. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, yeah, and we got to try our best to make sure that you're you stay or not. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but
I
um,
think that this is going to be home base. Like, I feel like the colored section will probably end up being something that is nationwide, but nothing's going to take away the fact that it started here in Pittsburgh. And I
mm,
feel like the colored section is going to maintain its presence here in Pittsburgh.
yes. Well, it's we're more rich because of that effort.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you again so much for taking the time to be a part of this very meaningful series through the hashtag Not White Collective.
Hmm.
We have another interview starting at 7 um, with Victoria Snyder, and
Nice.
that will be with Liana Maniz. And we're
Yes.
going to take a pause here so we can get ready for that next interview. But thank you, Natiq. We are very grateful for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Hmm. Thank you.